own message. And then there's a modern equivalent to this poem coming out of the book Fifth Discipline by Peter Senge. The book was written, I think, in 1980 originally, and then it was updated in 1990. Peter Senge is considered one of the most significant voices in organizational theory and culture, or organizational theory and corporate culture and things like that. And he wrote a book called The Fifth Discipline. The book is about the 5 disciplines needed for an organization to become a learning organization. And the way I make sense of this is you think about it this way: you can take a group of people. A lot of you have done group work. You can take five really intelligent people and put them in a group together, and the whole group will get dumber, because if they don't work together well, they don't add to each other's intelligence, they take away from it. We'll take that idea and then just expand it. You can take a corporation and have it filled with intelligent, bright, capable people, but if they don't work together well, if they don't manage communication well and manage power well, they're going to take away from each other instead of add to each other. So there are these 5 disciplines. I won't go over all 5. You can look those up online. But one of them is personal mastery. And personal mastery is an attitude of continual learning. To have personal mastery, one has to know that one does not know. One has to know that one does not know what one does not know. Hope that makes sense. When you have personal mastery, you're aware of the fact that there's things you don't know, and you don't know what those things are. And so you have to be open and attentive and willing to take in information. So Peter Senge says this is one of the disciplines needed in an organization. People need to be constantly in an attitude of learning. And that prepares them, by the way, to listen to each other, to engage in dialogue. So there are 4 characteristics of people with personal mastery. Here are the 4 characteristics. Number 1, continually deepening and clarifying your vision. This is what the woodcarver did for 7 days. Spent time deepening and clarifying his his vision of the bell stand. When we write a speech, what we need is time to get the one message, the one thing we want people to get. Taking time to get that vision clear in our head. Continually deepening and clarifying it. And it's not a one-time act. It is a faithful, daily kind of discipline. If not daily, at least some kind of regimented time that you spend thinking about your own subject matter and your attitude about that subject matter, things like that. Number 2, focusing your energy. Again, the woodcarver guarded his spirit, did not expend it on trifles that were not to the point. Focusing our energy means getting quiet, getting our energy focused on thinking, on contemplation, on listening, on being aware, and things like that. Focusing our energy. So, number 3, developing patience. It takes time for this to happen. It doesn't happen fast. The woodcarver waits 7 days before he starts anything. 7 days of not eating, not drinking, getting rid of all those distractions, all those things that were pulling him away from the task. And let me backtrack just a second. This idea of focusing our energy. The woodcarver forgets about gain and success, praise or criticism. When we get to the point where we are more worried about our message being heard than we are about the grade, about what people think about us, how people are viewing us, things like that, we probably have found our message. Until we get to that point, we haven't really found our true message. We have not had a live encounter. So we develop patience. It takes time. It's not going to happen fast. There's a lot of reading, a lot of writing we will do that won't seem to be producing anything. But what we are doing is gradually orienting our subconscious brain to be thinking about this subject matter, the speech, the message. And the 4th characteristic is seeing reality objectively. And the woodcarver goes in and he sees the trees in their own natural state. He doesn't try to force a tree to become what it cannot become. He knows what the bell stand looks like. He will not sacrifice that bell stand. So Peter Senge says that this idea of seeing reality objectively is like having a rubber band wrapped around both of your hands. And this hand represents your vision, this hand represents reality. And if you pull this rubber band like this, you're going to feel some tension. And often when we feel this tension, we are really tempted to resolve that tension fast. Well, one way to resolve this tension is to abandon reality, just live in denial. And just when it comes to public speaking, it means just saying, well, this speech is good enough, this is what I wanted all along, even though there's this nagging feeling it's not. We just abandon reality. Or we say, well, the message will come to me even though we're not putting any time into it. We're denying the fact, the reality that we're not really working on it. We just think somehow we're going to stand up and have this great speech. So that's one way this can happen. Or the other way to resolve this tension is abandon the dream. Just say, well, I'm no good at public speaking. I don't have a message. It can't happen. I'm never going to find this, and just give up. But there is a third alternative, and that is hold that tension. Hold it. Keep spending time on both. The vision of, sometimes it's vague, sometimes it's just a gut feeling. I know there's this message I have. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. I have just a feeling about it. And this reality, the stuff that I have so far, that's not the message. And hold that tension. This is when people get creative, in this tension. I don't like the cliche, but this is what makes people think outside the box, because by keeping their eye on the reality and their vision, they eliminate all the sort of normal possibilities. And what they're come up with is this creative alternative. And so, again, this is one of the ways we have this live encounter with our own truth.